Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, Don Spector here today, finally, after I had to wait for my replacement, my review for the Tangzu Nezha 6-balanced amateur 1 EST hybrid in-ear monitor. Yes, after I was the first one having an unboxing video, unfortunately, my unit was completely borked, the carrying case was not finished assembly, the back of the packaging only said assemble wherever you have text here, and then the left to right channel balancing was completely off. So, yeah, I had to write hi-fi go about it, and I had to write Tangzu because that was unacceptable, especially for a new IEM like that. Was in exchange with Tangzu specifically for quite a few emails. Got my replacement literally a few days ago, have been using this every day for a few hours now, gave it the complete benchmarking, like played with it. I did everything what I could imagine to give you a full, complete review in as short as possible. So, today we are here. And we start again as usual with the very quick unboxing today because I already did this twice. This is the package. As you can see, this is more than my camera can fit here. It is about an A4 in size in this dimensions here, and about like this is approximately also a A4 sheet. So very, very big for an IEM, and you have this art style here that is, I think, like in Hinduistic god or whatever. I don't know, not entirely sure. I think it's supposed to be that, but of course an anime style, because yes, everybody needs anime, that's what we all need, right? But at least they don't go for this waifu optic, so that's good to see. And then on the back you have the specification. I will not bore you with those too much, but I'm lacking here is a graph or measurement here on top somewhere, because that definitively helps you to already get a first impression on how this will sound. And yeah, there's it. And you slide this out, classic black, with Tangzu's logo, I assume, or Nezha, I don't know what that means, I can't read Chinese unfortunately. And when you open this, and you would be greeted at the bottom with the carrying case and at top with the IEM. The carrying case will give you a quick tour about that, but first let's see what accessories we get. You get the Tangzu tips in normal, like normal Tangzu tips, and you get them also in white, respectively a bit shorter. And yeah, I have made my review for the Tangzu tips. Unfortunately, I have not managed to cut it yet. But yeah, it is a pretty good tip. I did like it. Just the question if it is good enough, that is something I can't answer, unfortunately, and my review also will not do that. So yeah, these generally are good tips, and this one here is, for my experience, a bit too wide to my ear, just applies a bit too much pressure at the front. But the shortness of this definitely works better for me. So yeah, these tips are nice. And generally, before we come to the carrying case, I would say I like the presentation. I just wish they would shrink it all down. Like, this is just too much. Like, we don't need a big box like this in order to pack an IEM properly. So just making it a bit smaller would save you time, it would save you money, because yeah, you don't need to ship it, and it will also benefit the environment. So I would say next time, shrink the package to like 50%. You can fit all of this in there perfectly. It's very similarly presented, but you will just save a lot of space. So yeah. And then this is the case here. Yeah, as I said in my unboxing, I'm not very happy with this case. As you can see here, the tolerances for the glue is not great at all. And yeah, these stitches are again just cosmetic, like it's not really stitched, it's just glued. And the same thing is at the back here, it's just, the tolerances is not good, like this is not the best quality I have seen. Especially at this price point. Even lower, more cheap IEMs have better cases than this. And then the zipper has this like gold theme going on. Not my type of style, but okay. What I would more criticize here is the zipper actually at around corners is not really easy to zip, and it's really not the smoothest zipper at all. And then opening it, yeah, we would be greeted with the accessories about which we talked about the cable. Yeah, the tips, and this is the random pair of tips it comes, like the Tangzu comes installed with. I don't know why we have these when we have Tangzu. I would say they should replace these with a pair of foam tips, and then still additionally put an additional pair of foam tips in a different size in here. So I would say put the M-size foam tips on the IEM and put L-size foam tips in here. Because at this price, I think we can expect foam tips as well. That's like, some people like them very much, and the isolation of them definitely benefits. Yeah. And then in the inside, this here I do like, it's suede, it's very soft, so you can just throw your IEMs in and they will not scratch, and they're separated by this thing in the middle here, so that is very nice. And yeah, also the net on top is nice, so you can put your accessories in here. But it's not nice. You can see also here the tolerances are not good. Like really, this is one of the few cases where I have the feeling, even for generally this is sturdy, as you can see, right? It does have just a bit of flex. It's just not good enough at this price. Like it should have had way less tolerances, way better accurate gluing. It's just not good enough. Like for like 90 bucks or so, I would say we are okay. But for 300, this is just, it is not enough. But yeah, so far this is the accessories, and yeah, I think next let's yeah, get the actual IEM in. And yeah, today, because I feel like it, we all start with the IEM build. And I will apologize already, I can unfortunately not remove the cable, which might be the first point of criticism here. This is one of those really stuck 2-pin connectors. I'm afraid of pulling it out because you need to do this exactly in the right angle, otherwise you can bend the pins or break them off. So they should, I think, reduce the tolerances a tiny bit, increase the tolerances, sorry, increase, because this is, I'm afraid to remove the cable. And I will be afraid to remove the cable if the cable would break, and that is already telling you that there's an improvement potential here. But other than that, I think the Nezha is pretty much on point in terms of build. Like I really have zero criticism here, besides maybe that if you look here, this is the L&R marking that you get here. So it's not really that well readable, like the print is not the best quality. Maybe just a red like dot here or somewhere here would be advantageous, because this one is just not the greatest. But other than that, this is a really nicely built IEM, uses a resin shell that most semi-custom IEMs do nowadays, but this actually is on the thicker side of resin. That means the IEM actually has some weight to it. It feels very robust, and it uses, yeah, a classic one-piece design where you don't see any seams around it. It's very organic. All surfaces are kind of like smoothed and a bit dense, so what actually custom IEMs would be. And yeah, there's really no point of criticism here on the actual IEM build besides the cable. Because also the actual mesh here, isn't two-part thing in the front nozzle here. You have the metal plate, and then there is a mesh or filter paper or foam beneath that I think is there for tuning reasons. So yeah, but this is all well integrated, and I see no point of failure here. Like it's all nicely done. And adding to this, that's also what I wrote in my written review. Like this style here, like I don't know, like this is unique. I have not seen anybody else doing this exact style with this like red metal flakes and then this gold inlets. Usually it's not my type of style. Like I like things to be more nuanced, a bit more like low-key, I want to say. But this here I actually do like, and it does indeed look really nice. And the only thing I could say style-wise you could improve, I would reduce the amount of metal flakes in here a bit. So you have a bit more things to look at and not just a red mass at the top, as you can see here. But yeah, this is generally really nicely built IEM, and I have no criticism whatsoever. And then, yeah, we come to the cable, minus again, the cable inlet here. So it's like that is just too tight. The connector 2-pin here, just too tight, but okay. Yeah, coming to the cable, man. Yes, what Tangzu is getting you here is, I start at the bottom, let me move this a bit out. This is replaceable, so you can just remove that. The weird thing is, though, Tangzu decided they only give you 4.4 and 3.5 millimeter. I'm not entirely sure why they don't give you 2.5, because there's still quite a few Bluetooth receivers that have 2.5mm balanced. So that definitively also is an improvement potential here, because yeah, like just when you have the option, just give us a 2.5 plug. Like it really doesn't cost you much more, like in terms of overall pricing. You could basically sell for the same price and still give us a third plug. So yeah, that would be improvable. But generally, yeah, I think the plug here is not, again, my style. It's just too shiny. And as you can see, it collects fingerprints like crazy. It's not optimal for something you touch every day, but it feels well made overall. And it also has a slight contouring around here so you can grip it. I personally would still like a bit better contouring, just give it a bit more and maybe a bit texture so you don't have it that slippery. But yeah, this is looking nice and feels well made. And a bit up of that, you actually have a strain release that, as you can see, is moving and is releasing strain. And that is yeah, something that I don't see that often, and I like it because most cables will break here in this part. And if you have a strain release here, that reduces that a bit. I still think though it should maybe be a bit longer and maybe a bit thicker without being more sturdy, because this is already sturdy enough. It needs to be just generally a bit thicker overall to be better protective. But yeah, this is minor details. Of course, when we go on top here, this is 4 thicker cores, reminding me very much like the cable that the Yanyan Canon came with, or Canon. I like that cable. This one feels similar to that. I think it's just a tad thinner overall, but it very much has the same style. So that means you have like 4 thicker cores and the actually twisting or waving here, woving, I don't know how the word is. It's actually well done overall equally, and this strikes a nice balance between it feels sturdy, but it's not heavy. And yeah, coming from here to the splitter, same style as you can see, very fingerprint collecty, but this like metal color or like this dark gray color definitely works well. And then on top we have the chin slider, which is in the same style. You could just slide it down here and it will basically look like one piece. And the chin slider itself is nice. It's one of the few chin sliders that's well implemented. This is moving with pressure, so you actually need to apply some force to it to actually move it. But it doesn't move that difficult, so I am not worried that I will damage the cable. It's just doing exactly what it should do, stays in place, works style-wise, absolutely well done here. Chin slider, very good implemented. And then on top, the cable that could go over your ear, as you can see, is I think the same thickness or maybe just a tad thinner. And that generally means, in terms of usability here, that the entire cable is just smooth. Like, you can try to squeeze it up a bit, but you can see it's smooth. Smooth all over. I really like the usability of this cable overall. And yeah, this waving or this twisting here again, very equally done, no problems whatsoever. And the ear hook actually here is on the medium big sized bending angle here. A bit bigger than the last IEM I looked at, I forgot what that was, where I had complained, the Aoshida E20, where I had complained this applies a bit of pressure on my ear. This one is similar, just maybe a tad bigger, but it's not as thick rubberized as the Aoshida E20. So that means generally you have less pressure. But if you are very sensitive like me, I think this could still be a potential point of pressure, because this texture here is not equal. Like, this is not just one cable that I have here on my KZ PR2 at the moment. I got this cable because this is actually comfortable. Like, this is how it should be. Like, you shouldn't have any texture that creates treasure hotspots. So this could happen. Doesn't have to. And I know I'm very sensitive, so just if you are sensitive as well, this might still be too small and it could apply a bit of pressure, but generally I didn't have any problems with it. And then last but not least, the connector here. Same style as the chin slider or as the plug at the bottom. There's a red marking here, and the left side does have a blue marking, as you can see here. So that's nice, easily distinguishable which side you have. Didn't have any problem with it. And I say overall, yeah, the cable is also pretty good. The only thing I would improve probably here, but really needs improvement, is give us the 2.5mm connector. That's it. Like, other than that, cable is again very well done. Next, let's talk about comfort and fit. And I think we can keep this chapter very short. The Nezha is awesome in terms of comfort and fit. This is the best fitting IEM that I have tried the entire year, minus the one from, what was it, the Greek company Sounds, their semi-custom shell. Also, similar to this, fit me really well. And Tangzu managed exactly that. This is the best fitting IEM I have tried, as I said, and it just works perfectly to me. It is on the bigger side though, so if your pinna is a bit smaller, this could be a bit too big for you. But as you can see, the nozzle is on the shorter side of things. But the insertion through the actual IEM here, through the shaping or the contouring, is a bit more. So that means, again, if you have a very small pinna generally, you could get hotspots around here, this side. I don't. My pina is like normal size, like really average. So I didn't have any problems with this whatsoever. And also the angling not being too aggressive, but still well enough done. It just fits like a glove. Like really just putting most of my tips on just fit, and I didn't have any problems. I still prefer those semi-short tips or shorter tips. So Spinfeed CP360 are working very well. Or the velvet tips, which I got with this, actually also really like on you in terms of comfort. So yeah, generally it's really well fitting IEM. I don't see any improvement potential in terms of comfort here. Maybe just a bit smaller so it fits more pinners. But yeah, the pressure at the top is also working, so no driver flags, and overall really nicely comfort IEM. Next, isolation. And yeah, I said with my last review of an IEM at a similar price bracket, the Quintet, isolated really well, like absolutely nice. Nezha still goes a bit further, probably because it just fits better, and it just isolates even with silicone tips very well, and it really should work in all situations. The tram, the train, city center, it's just absolutely fine. All of this was with silicone tips. If you put on foam tips, which I have done for the lols, I have here my pair of cut foam tips. With this, you can probably even bear this in, for instance, the London subway, which is horribly loud in my experience. So you absolutely fine with this in terms of isolation, like really nicely done as well. Probably because, yeah, big shell, semi-custom shape, good comfort, so it just isolates very well. Next, drivability, and yeah, like most BA or hybrid IEMs, this has a very low impedance. It's 16 ohms at whopping 106 decibel at 1 kilohertz. That is very efficient on paper, and yes, in reality, it is highly efficient. So that means on a random dongle, you will get probably 90% or more of what this IEM is capable of. And I think the only thing you get as benefit if you up the power and more likely the cleanness, yeah, the imaging gets a bit better, like the separation maybe a tiny bit, like whole staging benefits usually get when it's just cleaner source. But other than that, you're fine with anything with this, like really there's no scalability to speak of. And then let's come to the core of this review. Let's talk about sound. And yeah, there's a but that I will talk about after I do this whole sound analysis here, so a big but. But without this but, yeah, the Nezha follows from the graph on now a very mainstream V-shaped signature, and yeah, it has a lot of mid bass, a lot of upper bass. Definitively the treble more pronounced than what neutral would be. I want to say lightly harmonish inspired without going too much harmon. So yeah, that's it, general characteristics. As usual, start with treble, and yeah, the upper treble implementation here has been done pretty well. To my ear, it reaches like 13 to 15K, something like this. I think the measurement showed 14, so that's exactly what my ear would also tell me before it's dipping. Yeah, that means you usually have a nice definition of transients. They come off as, yeah, nicely detailed. Although, again, because it's more than what would be natural, the tonality is a bit off. Like that's usually what you get if you have ultra treaters here that do a good job in preserving the air frequencies or like even highlighting them. Not the most natural, but generally very well detailed and without coming off as too forward to my ear. So my example track here, multivitamin juice part 1 and 2 from Ovane with the Nezha. Very good quality here, like cymbals, piano, like transients, everything nicely defined. And overall, very, very enjoyable. Probably a bit more than the Quintet even, I would say. Even for Quintet, it would be more my personal alley because it's brighter. But yeah, this one, very well done there. Mid-Treble continues this trend. It's kind of harmonish, a bit more than that maybe. That means you have a dip at around 7K that spans to like 8K-ish. The peak, though, at 9K you see on the graph, to my ear is actually 9K, but again, this is where I see 7.1 coupler, and your personal knowledge here could be that the peak gets shifted to 8K. Depends on insertion depth and on the shape of your ear canal. And yeah, this will then be very unpleasant, very sharp. Again, just for me personally, not the case. It is a 9K peak, and that just means you have a nice definition generally. Maybe the 9K peak could be reduced a tad, but not a lot. Generally just works fine, and I don't have complaints here. Yeah. And yeah, then same story in the lower treble. The peak here is around 3K to 3.5K, something like that. Yeah, slightly less than what the AJ07M, for instance, would get you. And that means in the lower treble department, you usually have a nice definition going on. Like, it does not come off as overly forward or overly bright there. AJ7M for some, for instance, is a bit bright there. To my ear, it's exactly what I would like, so I don't agree with that. But this one, I think, strikes a perfect balance where being at 3K, a few decibels less, generally makes female vocals still have a nice tonality, nice clarity, while keeping good body. It's not the best clarity, as I said, but it's still good. And my benchmark track here is Never Fade Away from Cyberpunk 2077. Full-bodied vocals here, very well separated, so generally coming off as still clear enough with good tonality. And this is my benchmark track because the vocalist is kind of pushed at the back. It's kind of somewhere here at the lower part, and the instruments dominate. But if the IEMs manage to still separate this out and get it a good body and good clarity, that is a time when generally the lower treble frequencies have been done well. Same as upper mids. When we now go to upper mids, zero problems with that. Exactly the same. It's like V-shaped. It's probably a bit more than it would be neutral, but still very well done. And yeah, generally no problems with the upper mids whatsoever. Now we come to probably the biggest problem that Nezha has sound-wise, and this is the mids. I think you can see it on the graph already. This is mushy, like completely soggy mids. Like the bass is completely drowning the mids, in my opinion. It's just way too much. It's too much to a point where even somebody, I would say, who likes warm tonality will think, oh, this is a bit, the tonality of the mid will just suffer. I listened through an entire library because I wanted to be sure. But yeah, really, Chester from Linkin Park sounds strangely muffled, not natural. James Hetfield from Metallica, same problem. Warrior Path, Beat, nothing more. Iron Maiden, you name it. Everything that I like about like vocalists in metalish tracks just doesn't work. It's too muffled. It's just the tonality is off by at least a couple decibels, and they should reduce the lower mids / upper bass, in my opinion, by at least 3 to 4 decibels to get this to a more neutral clarity. And strange thing is, they did this so much better with the Heyday. Heyday is just way superior in this term. Like, I don't know how to say. Like, the tuning here in the mids and the lower mids is just not to my liking. It just makes things muffled. It just doesn't work for me. But, now big but here, the technicality side, I will, a small spoiler for later, it separates really well. Like, the vocalist is center stage in your head here in the middle, while other things happen around that again. Very well done, but just the tonality and the general muffledness that it gets through the lower mids being this pronounced, just absolutely not my alley. And I would also argue that this generally doesn't work for most tracks that, let's say like what HPB always says, like if you have like older rock tracks, those actually benefit from having a bit more warmth here. And yeah, for the loads, I have the, I don't know, Queen Best Of, I threw that on. Yeah, it does work there, absolutely does. But if you have more modern mixed things, or like, let's say just more clear mixed things, it just does not work for me. It's just too much. But again, if you like a really warm mid tonality, this could be for you. Like, I'm not saying it's catastrophic. I'm just saying I think it just makes the tonality suffer, and I wouldn't want to recommend this just because the mids are not the greatest. But you personally, like, if you like your mids to be more warm, yeah, this is definitely for you. It's very warm, and yeah, I can see at least people enjoying this tonality. Yeah, other than that, yeah, lower mids well pronounced. So that means, for instance, if you have low-pitched growls, for instance, very well audible here. And yeah, then also in the upper bass department, yeah, the upper bass is also very well pronounced, and that means bass guitars generally come off as having a very good body, I would say. Just a bit too much for me. Yeah, I have a benchmark track here as well. Wait, let me get that out. Billionaire Boyfriend CEO is a very fun song. It's like synth wave-ish inspired, I want to say, but metal elements too. Yeah, does have a growl here that is very well pronounced. And then also the bass guitar that's happening here has also a good body that generally works. The problem then comes if you go for more, I want orchestral, more jazz thingy, a bit here. Copied City, I noted later on when you come out, mid-bass quality just suffered there. But generally also it comes off as a bit mushy generally, because yeah, upper bass is just too strongly pronounced in my books. And yeah, it's the biggest problem though with the bass is I don't think that the upper bass is too strong. I think it's again it's balanced armature bass. I have heard people saying there are good BA bass IEMs out there. This does not change your opinion. It absolutely won't. There's a lot of bass, a lot of warmth going on, but it just lacks the punch. It lacks the pizzazz that I like about good bass IEMs. So I think I could live with a bass representation here with very much like all the way warm through, if it would actually punch, if it would hit, if it would me rumble, if it would give me like just a satisfying bass. It just is not satisfying. It just is light. It is like mushy because yeah, it's not well defined, and it just generally lacks here. Again, I'm not saying this is bad because I'm not saying it's catastrophically bad, because yeah, I know people who like their bass to be a bit on the softer side, so it doesn't overpower things, and this will give you this experience. Like it will give you a relatively soft bass. Interestingly, though, still very technical. It's very fast. It's a very fast decay. So if you have two subsequent bass notes in like a very short succession, nicely represented here, and generally works in the technical department. So yeah, Voice in My Head from also a Cyberpunk soundtrack worked very well. Depressive Ghosts, Pale Summer, and then again Copied City. On the technical department, yes, just not on the tuning. And also on the punch it has. It just doesn't punch. It just lacks a punch. And even worse, actually, the sub bass. Honestly, there's a bass roll-off visible on the graph, and it's audible as well. Oof, like really, when I put my benchmark track here, Interstellar, the track Mountains, has a like bass note that kind of rolls off all the way to 20 Hz. And usually, with a good IEM, you can manage 2 minutes 15, 2 minutes 16 with a very good IEM, with there's really sub bass texture going on. This one doesn't manage it. Like, it just doesn't cut it. On higher volume, like really let me preface here, higher volume, I can hear 2 minutes 14, more likely about 2 minutes 13 with somewhat textured, and that's it. So you basically also lack the lowest notes to make like really the bass absolutely satisfying. And yeah, it's just, that doesn't work for me, I have to say here. Bass and mids, generally very warm, just not up my alley. And technicality, yes, speed you have here, but it's just too soft. It just doesn't punch, it doesn't rattle. So I'm definitively disappointed by the bass performance here. Although anything else in the technical department, soundstage, layering, imaging, absolutely on point. Most of the time 5 layers. I think you could argue sometimes maybe even 7 is pretty close to what Quintet would offer here in terms of technicality. And also the same separation, dynamics, coherence. It's one of the few IEMs where I don't have the feeling I'm actually listening to BAs. It is definitively very natural sounding for BAs. And the only gripe I have with coherence is, yeah, the Super-Treble treater here. It just doesn't really fit the rest of the presentation. It just makes it a bit grainy. It doesn't really fit overall in, but it's really not bad. And overall, also the dynamic department, honestly, for an almost all BA IEM, the dynamics are pretty damn good. It does lag, of course, a bit in the last few percentage that a good dynamic IEM would give you, but for all BA, honestly, this is good dynamics. Microdynamics and macrodynamics both. And I don't really have that many complaints whatsoever here in this department. So that means everything technical, the Nezha does succeed in my opinion. It is pretty good, and it definitively does fit its price bracket. Also compared to the Quintet, which probably is one of the best things that I have heard generally, but it nails the tuning way better, and it isn't dynamic for bass. So yeah, this one is also very technical in every field I can imagine. Yeah, just not the tuning, right? That's not up my alley, not at all. And then, last but not least, before we come to a verdict, I titled this the headline in my review, "To EST or to not EST? That is the question." As my viewers might have already noticed, yeah, as I already said in the beginning, I got a borked unit, so I had to send it back, got a new one, and during that, funnily, the description of the Nezha changed. Originally it was 6 BA, 1 piezoelectric, which itself is an interesting combination, and I was like, ah, okay, that could work actually, like, let me get that, that's an interesting config. Because usually when you have tribreds from like BQYZ or LZ audio, they usually have a dynamic and BA and then PZT. So that here is unique, but when they changed it, 6 BA to 1 EST. So as someone who is following the market relatively closely the last few years, my alarm bells were ringing, like ringing on high alert. What the fuck? How can this after release still change? Second strange thing, why only 1 EST? Usually Sonyon BAs, Sonyon ESTs come with 2 ESTs because the transformer in there does manage 2. So it doesn't make sense to just buy 1 EST, so they just mostly sell them in 2 pieces, just because it makes more sense. If you already have the transformer, that is a big part of the cost anyway, just put a second one in there. That already makes me suspicious. And yeah, when I exchanged mails with Tangzu, I had a lengthy communication with them, ask about my unit, ask them about the change. And let me quote Tangzu here. Apparently the piezoelectric was mistranslated. It was an EST all along. Yeah, that didn't satisfy me because it's 1 EST. And I was like, how? Like, what exactly are you using? Doesn't sound like a Sonyon EST here. So I keep probing and I asked, and actually they were so kind, sent me a schematic, and I will put on their schematic here now, and I give you 2 seconds to think about what driver you're actually looking at. So what do you think this is? Doesn't look like an EST, right? Yeah, it ain't. This is exactly the same kind of driver, probably not the same model though, that KZ has in their ZEX and what they describe as EST or described as EST. And also in the Shure tape, technically it would be magnetostatic, but that in turn is so close to an DD, it doesn't really make sense in my opinion to differentiate that much. It's kind of a DD super tweeter, and yeah, the membrane here is flattened instead of dome shaped. That would be with most IEMs the case. So that means by no way this is an EST. It doesn't operate on the principle whatsoever. And yeah, I heard also Tangzu give me the argument, and I'm paraphrasing them here. Technically, Sonyon ESTs are not actual ESTs. They are technically electrets. Yeah, that's true, absolutely is. But the operating principle of electrets is the same as real ESTs. The only difference is that the charge in the membrane in the middle is not introduced by a transformer from the outside. It's actually inherent. And that means theoretically the electrets will not be as fast or could also lose their charge over time as real ESTs would not do. And that means theoretically it's not the same quality as real EST would be. But the operating principle, just technically speaking, should be the same. And what Tangzu has in here, the magnetostatic driver, does not operate on this. It's basically a dynamic driver. And that means the complete marketing around this is not true. I would call it actually a lie, and I urge Tangzu in my emails as well to rename the product description again. Make it actually a magnetostatic. Like, change it so that you don't mislead the consumer, because this is misleading. 95% of people probably who hear EST think, oh, Sonyon EST, yeah, that's definitively well, if it's well implemented, very nice treble. And this is, it is working. Like, I'm not saying the Upper-Treble extension is not working. It does, yeah. There is some good detail to be had here. Just the problem is the marketing here. It's not an EST. It will never be an EST. And again, I hope Tangzu is watching this. Again, let me urge you, change the description. It is not an EST. Name it actually what it is. Name it the magnetostatic. Name it whatever you like, but don't lie about it. Be honest here. And yeah, this is also I want to say, the nail in the coffin for the recommendation for me. Now coming to the verdict. Yeah. It is so reshaped. It is so reshaped to a point that is beyond me. Like, most IEMs are more balanced here. They have just a better mid-implementation here. That alone, I could have still said, okay, I can live with this, you know, I can see, like if it punches, if it rattles, I would say, yeah, I would still recommend it. Like, it's fitting so well. The cable is nice, and the accessories, the tip's also really good. So just, why is it so V-shaped? Why? And then it doesn't rattle, makes it even worse. That already would remove my recommendation, even for it's very V-shaped. But then they still add the EST problem on top. It is not an EST. Like, it will never be an EST. It doesn't operate on the same principles. Like, it's not even close. So the marketing bullshit combined with these problems make me actually say, I would not recommend you buying the Nezha. I would not support, I don't want to support this. And I would also say you should not. So companies actually are responsible for their actions and don't lie about it. If you like, well, if you're fine with this, if you're fine that they are lying about this, I would say, okay, just buy it. The IEM is super comfortable. I think I might keep this, not entirely sure. So generally, yes, it is environment IEM, and if this is up your alley, the treble is absolutely nicely done. I don't think I said that in my treble summary, but yeah, the treble is so nicely done here. It's really among the best balanced trebles that I've heard also the last few years. It's just, it doesn't work if the mids don't come up with it, and if the bass is also lacking. So yes, in one coherent sentence, it is too warm. The EST lie prevents me from recommending this. But it's if you like warm and if you're fine with the lie here, the comfort is really good. So this could be worth a consideration. I would just never recommend it. It's just not good enough in the bass department for me. And also the lie, like I can't. Like, I'm responsible as a reviewer, so I can't recommend this. I will never recommend anything that comes close to that. So yeah, that's it. A relatively long review today again, just looking at the time. But I hope you enjoyed it. If you have questions, if you have criticisms, if you have recommendations, please leave a comment. And with this, Dawn Spector out.